In this lecture, we are going to learn how to create a toolbar in material design, which is extremely easy to do. First, start Android Studio. To create a new project, click on Start a new Android Studio project. I do this. In the application name section, I set my project name as Toolbar, and my project will be stored in Material Design Project folder. Okay, I click on Next. Set your minimum SDK on API 15 or Android 4. Next. From this list, select Empty Activity. Next. You can also change activity name and layer name. I click on Finish and wait until Android Studio creates my project. Before starting to code, make sure that AppCompat library version 7 has been added to your project. As you know, we gave detailed instructions on how to add libraries to Android Studio in the previous section. Okay, the first thing to notice when creating a toolbar is your application theme. I enter the resource section of my project. Inside values folder, I open styles.xml. You see that by default, the parent of our theme is theme.appcompat.light.dark_action_bar. To create a toolbar, your theme must have no toolbar by default. To this purpose, I change my theme's parent to theme.appcompat.light.no_action_bar. Let's run our project on the emulator to see if our theme's default toolbar is removed or not. Okay, my project was run on Nexus 6 emulator. You see that the application has no toolbar. I stop the emulator and want to add a toolbar to the application. To create toolbar, I go to Layout folder and open Activity Main file. When you get output from your project and your application is run on an Android device, the Activity Main file is the first layer displayed to the user. I go to the text section. The first thing I have to do here is to get rid of all the paddings created by Android Studio by default. Also, I don't need this text view, so I get rid of it too. To create the toolbar, I type in my layer android.support.v7.widget.toolbar. Okay, my toolbar requires a height and a width. For its height, I'm going to type Android layout underscore height. I set the toolbar height equal to action bar size attribute. This way, I put a question mark and then type attribute action bar size. Currently, our toolbar height has been defined based on Android Studio's default toolbars, so we don't need to specify it manually. Okay, that's it for our toolbar height. For toolbar width, I type Android layout underscore width. I set my toolbar width equal to match parent. That is, my toolbar width will be equal to the width of my screen. You see that under the status bar, our toolbar was created, but currently our toolbar's background is colorless. After height and width, I'm going to define an ID for my toolbar. I type Android ID @ ID slash. For example, I set its ID to toolbar. Then after ID, it's our toolbar background's turn. I type in Android background. For its value, I'm going to tell it to use color primary attribute. This way, this means that whatever color defined inside the color primary item will be considered as our toolbar's background color. That's it for our toolbar background. Finally, we close our toolbar with slash. Okay, our work with activity main layer is finished. What is left is to define our toolbar in the main activity class. I close the activity main layer and go to Java folder. Inside the first folder, I'm going to open main activity class. Inside the main activity class, I'm going to create an object from the toolbars class. This way, I type toolbar. Note that here we have two toolbar classes, but we must use the android.support.v7.widget class. Okay, we select a space with arbitrary name for our object. For example, toolbar is a suitable name, and semicolon. After we created our object, I go into the onCreate method and create a connection from my object to the toolbar that I created in the activity main layer. I type toolbar equals parenthesis open. I cast my object from the toolbar type to space find view by ID, which means find using ID. Now we must enter ID of the toolbar that we created in the activity main inside the parentheses. To this purpose, I type r.id.toolbar. This means from the R file, the ID section, and the toolbar ID that we had defined earlier. Okay, that's it for how to connect our object. Using the setSupportActionBar method, I'm going to change my toolbar to an action bar. Okay, we're done with the main activity class. Let's run our project on the emulator. Run using Nexus 6 emulator and OK. Alright, our application was started. You see that our toolbar has been created under the status bar. This way, with a few lines of code, we were able to easily create a toolbar. In the next lecture, we'll embark on customizing our toolbar, so stay with us.